Hey up, getting a little trashy this episode, as we're looking at Trashhouse. This is a 2005 British horror comedy directed by stand-up comedian Pat Higgins. This is their directorial debut, and it looks like they're still directing films to this day. Mostly this sort of thing, sort of your schlocky horror comedy films. The film stars, the main stars are a bunch of people who haven't really done much else, but then we also get features from sort of British comedy obscurities, might be the best way to put this. So we've got people like Hannah Speller, who was in EastEnders and one of the Dick and Dom spin-offs. Then we've got someone like Glenda Laney, who is Sarah Milligan's husband, and worked on 8 out of 10 Cats as a writer. And then we've got Paul Keresner, who wrote things like Not Going Out, Top Gear, and Miranda. So you're not really going to know who these people are, but you'll have definitely heard of their work if you've ever skipped through channels on British TV at any point over the past 20 years. I really don't know what to think of this one. Just by judging it from what I know currently, which is that it's a British comedy which can either be really good if done right, or absolutely awful if not quite done right. And judging by the cover as well, we're not in for something high quality here. But that's all just judging. Let's take a look, shall we?
Hello there. Oh yeah.
The plot follows a group of 5 people who are all deemed the most mentally balanced people in England. Now, they've all been brought to this one place because they get to test out this new device, which when implanted into your head, lets you imagine up anything that you want and it becomes manifest. So, they're all doing what they want to do. Some are curing world problems, some are fixing their own inner demons, and some are just banging anything that they can imagine. But one of these people might not be who everybody else thinks they are, and in fact they're actually a psychopathic killer, and they're going to try and kill the rest of these people who are testing this device. This film is not good. It's not good at all. It takes about 45 minutes for anything to really happen. Before that it's just a lot of conversations in rooms, very boring and static and not very funny. And then when things do kick off, we get the stupidest and some of the worst effects that I've seen in a very long time in a film. It's only coming in at 82 minutes and the credits roll at 79 minutes, but it still felt like it was far too long for this sort of thing.
No, he isn't cute. He's got things wrong with him.
Sprain penis or no sprain penis, I am very happy.
Which is why I win.
The acting in this is appalling. Nobody can deliver a line right at all, and it's not even like funny bad or anything like that. It kind of feels like amateurish sort of A-level drama performance, you know, where they're clearly trying, but they just can't quite emote right or get the lines out right. But speaking of the lines, the dialogue probably isn't helping with that, because most of this dialogue is just awful. And yeah, it's trying to be funny sometimes and it never quite lands right. And it is this mix of the directing's probably a bit off, the acting's probably a bit off, and then just the script itself isn't that good or funny. And it just sort of creates nothing. It's not entertaining, it's not so bad it's good, it's not good, it's just there, and it's kind of painful. Gore. That's an interesting one with this one. I don't even really know where to start. I guess we'll start with the bits that are fine, and that is the fake blood. Obviously it's all saved up for the very last act, in the last like 20 minutes, but when we get some blood, we get some blood, and it's splattering around all over the place, and it's not too bad, it works. But then on the other side of this, we have the other types of effects that are used, and it's a lot of cheap shit green screen. You're talking like early YouTube sort of green screen, and weird little bits of animation thrown in there. The amount of green screen in this is laughable, and none of it is particularly well placed or anything like that. I'll be showing clips because it might be some of the worst things effects-wise that I've ever seen in a film before, especially in this collection, and we've seen some shit, but usually when the film is bad, the effects manage to sort of save it a little bit. I'm thinking like Maniacal and stuff like that, but not the case here. And then we need to talk about the CG monster that's in this. It's not in it much, unfortunately, because it's insane when it does pop up, but the effect is so terrible that you can tell they looked at it and just thought, no, we can't include this. I'm trying to compare it to something, but I just can't think what it looks like. It's so bad that when you're looking at it, you don't really know what it is you're supposed to be seeing. It's like Lawnmower Man sort of effects, but low budget British independent horror comedy version of Lawnmower Man effects. Like, absolutely awful. Now, I know what you might be thinking, some of you out there, but you seem like the sort of person who might like bad effects, and I do. I like a silly effect, I like a janky bit of CG, something that looks a bit off and uncanny. Usually though, the film that surrounds these bad effects needs to also hook me in, because the problem you get is, with this film specifically, is that you've got this really boring, nearly an hour, and by the time these effects come in, I'm already out of the film, I'm already checked out, because nothing's grabbed me and nothing's drew me into it. So then when these effects come up, I'm just more annoyed than anything, to be completely honest. And like, yeah, you have some silly effects, but the plot is kind of interesting, or at least it's trying to draw you in. That's fine, because then the silly effect comes up and you're in the film then, aren't you? And you're like, oh my god, that's insane. This one, no. Unfortunately, that is just not the case at all. And I want to quickly touch upon a jump scare that's in this as well. The film goes kind of quiet for a minute. It's probably about a minute as well. And then a monster pops up, a big loud scream. Yeah, it's a jump scare. It's not scary or anything like that, it's just a bit annoying. But what's really annoying about it is how loud the scream is. I was worried that it had damaged my speakers, because it's so abrasive and loud and quick. That, yeah, I wasn't scared in the film context, I was just scared that my speakers were going to be damaged in some way. I hate it when that sort of thing happens. It's very amateur. Jump scares can be effective, they can work, but they need to be earned, and they need to be well made. And that one just felt cheap, and again, it felt kind of early internet, I guess. Because this is it, outside of the bit of gore that you get at the end, most of this film is very boring in how it's made. It's just a camera sort of plonked in the middle of the room while people have conversations. It's shot in like 2 or 3 rooms without much variation on that. And any variation we do get, the sets aren't really dressed that well, so it's kind of just boring to look at. The music is just uninspired and repetitive, it just keeps going and going, and it's just not a well-made thing, unfortunately. And it sounds harsh, and I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, any film getting made is incredible. It's so hard to make a film, and actually getting an end product is so good. But that doesn't mean I have to like the film itself. Some very bad films are charming, and you can see the making of, and you can see the passion and the enjoyment and the, you know, the single-mindedness of it all, and that's engaging, and that's what I like in a low-budget film. This one, I felt embarrassed watching it. Honestly, I have nothing to do with this film. I didn't make this film, but I got second-hand embarrassment from it sheerly merely existing, and I think that kind of says it all, really, doesn't it?
Let's go.
So I think we can definitively say that this film fits very nicely into the Millennium Trash category that we've created over the series. Absolutely, and it's weird because they're usually American, so it's interesting having a British Millennium Trash film, but it has a lot of the hallmarks that we see. The angst and the style of the time. I'm thinking particularly the dude in the shades who sets the group up with the chips. He's very, very Millennium Trash. Then there's things like the wonky effects and the repetitive stock metal music in the soundtrack, the weird edits every now and then. I'm pretty sure this was shot on DV, if not it would probably be something like a Hi8 maybe, or I think it's some sort of, I think it's a consumer camera anyway, I don't think it's a professional camera. It's definitely not shot on film, I can tell you that much. And lastly, and probably most importantly, that CG monster. I think if there was going to be a mascot for Millennium Trash, that CGI monster would definitely be a contender for top spot on that mascot list. It just screams that era. It's like a PS2 game. It's like something you'd see on the cover of like PlayStation magazine in like the mid 2000s. So yeah, a Millennium Trash film. We've not really had a definite one in a while, to be honest, so always interesting to see. Next, you know this film isn't doing too well when in the first paragraph of its Wikipedia article it's talking about how Screen Entertainment put the DVD out. It's not really an achievement, that, is it? It's nothing to be proud of. The Hard Gore guys put out my film. Oh, great. Little harsh maybe, I don't know, but yeah, it's clearly not really got much of a following, this film. There's not much information about it online just in general, to be completely honest, and it's letterboxed. Not many people have logged it or anything. I think it's a bit of an obscurity. Lastly, before we move on, this film was entered into a UK-based trauma festival called Trauma Fling, and it won Best Screenplay. Must have been a slow year, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, it won something at the very least, and honestly I can kind of see this being liked by the trauma crowd. I've not got much experience with trauma films, I've not seen many of them, so I can't really comment. Like Cannibal the Musical is pretty much as far as I've gone with trauma. But from what I gather with the company, this seems like it might fit into their catalogue nicely, to be honest.
Hi, I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Fellows House Project to welcome you to the experience of a lifetime.
What's the best Christmas present you ever had then?
I was used to get combined Christmas and birthday presents.
Your birthday on Christmas Day then?
No, it's in May.
Okay, it's time for the Gorometer. Let's see how hardcore this film actually is. So, as always, we're going to start off with the branding on the outside of the case. We have nothing on this one, not at all. Number 2 is branding on the inside of the case. Again, we don't. We have a catalogue in this, but it's just the plain white one. No Hard Gore branding or anything like that, so not counting that. Number 3, any branding on the disc, digitally or physically? No, nothing at all. On the disc itself, digitally, we have some trailers, but none of it's got the Hard Gore branding or anything like that. It's just screen entertainment stuff. So, no, not going to count that. So we're at 0 for 3 at the moment. Number 4, is it hard? Is it gore? I mean, it's getting a point for this. Obviously, this would fit right at home with the rest of the Millennium Trash that we covered in Phase 1 of the Hard Gore collection. It's Millennium Trash, of course it's going to fit in. Yes, it's hard to watch, it's got bad cheap effects, it's done on a low budget, it fits perfectly in with the rest of the films. So, gets a point there. Lastly, any other evidence? No, I don't even know where this one came from, to be honest. It's not really mentioned on any of the catalogues or anything like that, and it's a bit of an anomaly. So, we're going to end off the Goreometer section with 1 out of 5. Which is not hard gore. Now, that's a bit of a funny one, really, because the film itself, it definitely feels like it fits in the collection, but everything else surrounding it, and everything on the packaging, and the way it's presented, and the way you'd buy it in a shop, is definitely not hard gore. So I'd be very interested in what you think, because it definitely feels like it would fit in there, but just a lack of branding really has let it down. So, that's the Goreometer again, so let's move on.
Local anaesthetic job. 20 minutes at the most.
You can't make me love you.
Well, are you sure about that? Because I reckon I probably can.
Alright, let's take a look at this print then, shall we? It's not too bad, honestly, it's not too bad at all. It's sharp, the colours are alright, if not a little contrasty sometimes, but it's not bad at all, honestly. There's no glitches or anything like that. The biggest thing probably is that it's got that weird aspect ratio thing again, where it's 16:9 converted into 4:3, so it looks small on the screen. The audio though, that's not the best. It's up and down. It's one of those where you're constantly changing the volume on your remote control. Because it's loud and then it's super quiet, and the mic clips quite a bit in this, but again, I think that's more of how it was recorded as opposed to like screen entertainment, like judging it up for the DVD or anything like that. And on the disc, well, quite a few things this time, so I'm having to write them down and read them off to you. So, obviously we get the usual chapter select, and we get the other trailers from Screen Entertainment, but we also get a director's commentary that plays throughout the feature. We get 4-minute pre-production short with Pat Higgins, which, it's a weird one this, it's sort of, he shot it while he was trying to get the film funded before the film was actually getting made, and it's sort of like he's saying, oh, if this film ever gets made, this will be a special feature on the DVD. And you know what, it was 4 minutes, and it's fair enough. And we also get to see some of the early auditions for some of the actors as well, which is fair enough. Then we get a 46-minute behind the scenes featurette, which, yeah, looks like they had fun. I mean, it's behind the scenes, it's pretty by the books, you know, you see them shooting, little talking head interviews, everyone seems into what they're doing, positivity and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, looks fine. Then we get 5 minutes of deleted scenes, each one being introduced by Pat Higgins, and it's always a bit interesting with a film that I don't like, that I think is not well made, to see that there's deleted scenes, because it's like, you watch them and you're like, well, why were these ones deleted? And most of the film wasn't. But that's just me being a bit harsh, I guess. Then we get 5 minutes of outtakes. It's outtakes, flubbing lines and giggling and stuff. Looks like they had fun. Then we get 7 minutes, which is of a tutorial, which is interesting. It's the effects guy, and he's teaching you how to make fake blood, which is glycerin, food colouring and water, if you wanted to know. And that didn't take me 7 minutes to do. And then he puts it in like bike pumps and squirts it around and shows you how they get the effect of blood squirting and stuff like that. You know what? I like this inclusion. I think that's a fun one. You know, if I was a teenager wanting to get into making films and stuff, like I was, then this would be really interesting to me. And I like its inclusion, honestly. Then we get a 1.5-minute long thing called Nick, which is just following one of the actors around called Nick. Yeah, it's nothing really. And then we get 30 seconds and it's called Pat's New Film, and it's just a punchline, and there's nothing more to really say on that. And there you go. That is how much is crammed onto this disc. As I always say, it's always the films that I'm not that big on that end up having the most special features. And this might have the most special features on it that we've seen in the entire Hard Gore series. I think it's got way more than anything that we saw in Phase 1, really. And it's typical because I didn't like this film at all. But there you go. Let's move on, shall we? Okay then, let's have a look at this case. Now, this might be one of, if not the, worst front cover to a DVD that I have ever seen. Like, no joke. Who is looking at this and going, ah, there's my evening right there? The colouring of it, the composition, the pose of the girl, it's all just shit. But I guess that's quite fitting because the film is as well. The back reads fine, it's okay. The runtime's off by 5 minutes though. And this is another one of those that has a disclaimer that the film isn't actually an 18, I'm pretty sure it's a 15 this time. Lastly, this has one of those white catalogues on the inside. Overall then, I mean, you know what I'm going to say here, don't you? I didn't like this film. Not a surprise, I'm sure. It spends its first 45 minutes doing everything in its power to make you uninterested in its story and characters, and then when everything kicks off at the end, you just don't care. You're out of the film, your mind's elsewhere, and anything that it throws at you at the end, no matter how weird and awful and bad the CG is or anything like that, it just can't draw you back in, unfortunately. It's too late. It's far too late by that point. Some of the worst acting I've seen in a while, some of the worst visual effects I think I've ever seen. It's not a good package. If anything, it sounds like it should be interesting, but as I said, that first beginning bit just really draws you out of it. Yeah, I'm not recommending this. Again, not a surprise, but I ain't recommending this. If for some reason you are in the market, this is your lot. I don't think this has ever been re-released anywhere else. It's probably on YouTube for free, let's be fair. But I mean, the release of this is fine. It's got plenty of special features. The print's okay. Yeah, if you are in the market, this is your lot, and it's not the worst. It is, however, a little scarce by the looks of it. As of making this video, there are no copies available to purchase on eBay, and the CEX and Amazon listings are both out of stock. So I guess it's a bit of a rare item. I don't know. I guess when it comes back on sale, I don't know how much it'd sell for, to be completely honest, but rare and rubbish. So, yeah, one of the worst this episode. One of the worst that I've seen in a while. Not good at all. Hopefully that's going to change next episode though, because we're heading back to a Hard Gore veteran. A man who only made 3 films. He made probably the most famous sexploitation film of all time, then made its terrible sequel like 30-40 years later or something stupid, and then he made this one other film as well. Next episode, we're going to be checking out Don't Mess With My Sister.